On the nomination of the Executive Board, appoints Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus as Director General of the World Health Organization.
So the world seems to have exploded with excitement at the fact that Dr. Tedros is the new Director General at the World Health Organization. To me, this looks like a man who knows how to build consensus and knows how to get things done. Just the kind of man we need at the top of the WHO. But wait, there's more. Dr. Tedros has also been actively involved in many leadership and governance roles in the global health space. For example, he's been the chair of the Global Fund to fight AIDS, TB and malaria. He's been the chair of the Rollback Malaria Partnership, just to name two. And in these roles, again, he's managed to build consensus and drive change. So I'm excited about Dr. Tedros, the world is excited about Dr. Tedros, and for good reason.
So how do you go about pronouncing his name? Simply, in English or American, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, or Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. The COVID-19 pandemic continues to take a heavy toll on families, communities, and nations the world over. But it's also giving rise to incredible acts of generosity, solidarity, and cooperation.
The 75th World Health Assembly, on the nomination of the Executive Board, appoints Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus as Director General of the World Health Organization.
His confirmation comes despite Ethiopia declining to nominate Dr. Tedros, who is Tigrayan,
the health minister of Ethiopia, now the foreign minister, one of the ablest public servants I ever worked with. You would all be very comfortable if he became the Secretary of Health and Human Services in the United States.
You've got a Minister of Health who's one of the best in the world, Dr. Tedros.
Not so many Africans have risen to head major global organizations. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, who heads the World Health Organization (WHO) as its Director General, is one of the very few.
He is the first WHO Director General to have been elected from multiple candidates by the World Health Assembly, and is the first person from the WHO African region to serve as WHO's Chief Technical and Administrative Officer.
In 1986, Tedros got his first degree in biology from the University of Asmara. In 1992, he got his master's degree in immunology of infectious diseases from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine at the University of London. As if those were not enough, he went on to bag a PhD in community health from the University of Nottingham in the year 2000. Fresh out of college in 1986, Tedros got employed in the Ministry of Health in Ethiopia as a junior public health expert. 15 years later, in 2001, he was appointed head of the Tigray Regional Health Bureau.
Dr. Tedros served as Ethiopia's Minister of Health from 2005 to 2012, where he led a comprehensive reform of the country's health system. The transformation he led as Ethiopia's Minister of Health improved access to health care for millions of people.
In 2005, he was appointed Minister for Health. During his tenure, significant progress was seen, which was even published in an international health journal. As minister, within few years, Tedros was able to attract foreign donations amounting to $1.9 billion. He revamped the health workforce and developed a system that led to the training and deployment of thousands of doctors, nurses, laboratory technologists, pharmacists, and health officers. This program also included the building of 4,000 health centers and training of over 30,000 health extension workers.
Dr. Tedros is globally recognized as a health scholar, researcher, and diplomat with first-hand experience in research, operations, and leadership in emergency responses to epidemics.
Tedros did not just focus on Ethiopia's health sector alone, he was also involved in global health initiatives. From 2007 to 2009, he was chair of the Rollback Malaria Partnership. He was in the program coordinating board of the Joint United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS, that is UNAIDS, from 2009 to 2010. He was also part of many academic and global health think tanks, including the Harvard School of Public Health and the Aspen Institute. In July 2009, the board of the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria elected Tedros as its chair. A report carried by The Lancet cited his leadership as Ethiopia's Minister for Health as a major reason Ethiopia became an exemplary, high-performing country in health.
Before becoming head of the WHO, he climbed through the ranks of Ethiopia's government. Dr. Tedros became a member of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, which was in the vanguard of the 1991 overthrow of Ethiopia's Mengistu Haile Mariam. He received the decoration of the Order of Serbian Flag in 2016, and was awarded the Jimmy and Rosalind Carter Humanitarian Award, in recognition of his contributions to the field of public health in 2011. Charming and unassuming are some of the words those who know him use to describe Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus.
But altogether, they really elevate Dr. Tedros to superhero status.
Please welcome the Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom.
Guten Abend, global citizens. Guten Abend, Hamburg. Guten Abend.
But Tedros is a celebrity in the global health and diplomacy worlds.
WHO has been working with global citizens for several weeks on the Together at Home concert series. It's now my great pleasure to invite Lady Gaga.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tedros and Hugh Evans, for all of your leadership in this fight against COVID-19.
Every day, he gives a press conference. Every day his words are flashed around the world. And despite the pressure to come up with answers, despite the constant media spotlight, he remains quiet and friendly. The end of each press conference is always the same: a gathering of papers, a smile, and see you tomorrow. Professor Gostin believes Dr. Tedros has become the symbol of leadership in the course of the coronavirus crisis.
In Ethiopia, 6 million people in Tigray have been under blockade by Ethiopian and Eritrean forces for almost 500 days, sealed off from the outside world. There is almost no fuel, no cash, and no communications. No food aid has been delivered since the middle of December. 83% of the population is food insecure. Our partners are running out of what little food they have and the fuel to transport it. About 3/4 of health facilities assessed by WHO have been damaged or destroyed. In February, WHO airlifted more than 33 metric tons of medicines and other supplies to Tigray, enough for 300,000 people. The first time we have been able to deliver supplies since July last year. In the past 2 weeks, WHO and our partners have distributed supplies to 65 health facilities in Tigray. But much more is needed, and we are now preparing to send an additional 95 metric tons of supplies, but no permission has been given yet. We estimate that 2,200 metric tons of emergency health supplies are needed to respond to urgent health needs in Tigray. Only 117 metric tons have been delivered, less than 1% of what is needed. But with no fuel, even if we can get supplies in, getting them to where they need to go is very difficult or impossible. The humanitarian situation in the neighboring Afar region also continues to deteriorate, with tens of thousands of people displaced and in need of food, shelter, and health services. But while the neighboring regions of Afar and Amhara are also affected, we have had far better access to those two regions than we have in Tigray. What is the impact of all this? People are dying. There is no treatment for 46,000 people who need treatment for HIV, and the program has been abandoned. People with tuberculosis, hypertension, diabetes, and cancer are also not being treated and may have died. As a result of the lack of fuel, some of our partners are having to scale back their operations. The situation in Tigray is catastrophic. The blockade on communications, including on journalists being able to report from Tigray, means it remains a forgotten crisis, out of sight and out of mind. Yes, I'm from Tigray, and this crisis affects me, my family, and my friends very personally. But as the Director General of WHO, I have a duty to protect and promote health wherever it's under threat. And there is nowhere on earth where the health of millions of people is more under threat than in Tigray. Just as we continue to call on Russia to make peace in Ukraine, so we continue to call on Ethiopia and Eritrea to end the blockade, the siege, and allow safe access for humanitarian supplies and workers to save lives. I don't know if the world really gives equal attention to black and white lives. I said it last week, the whole attention to Ukraine is very important, of course, because it impacts the whole world. But even a fraction of it is not being given to Tigray, Yemen, Afghanistan, Syria, and the rest. A fraction. The world is not treating the human race same way. Some are more equal than others.
Thank you. Thank you.